Whoa, wait a minute. Deshaun Watson gets some more bad news from the Cleveland Browns.
Another day, man, in the bus. Great work. Got my dogs, Luke, Casey out here. Got a couple of young guys that's in college that's gonna, you know what I'm saying, get that work in with us. You know, we just keep stacking for real. Like I said earlier, man, every day count, every rep counts. So whatever we can to keep.
No cameras, no press conference. Just Deshaun Watson, grinding through another rep, another rehab session, another day of pretending the ground isn't shifting under his feet. But it is. Because 200 miles away in Vegas, a kid with a legendary last name just posted a workout video that broke the internet, and Cleveland can't stop watching. This is the story of a quarterback room on fire, a franchise that spent everything on one guy and can't stop staring at the other one. Let's talk about pressure for a second. Real pressure. Not the kind you feel before a job interview. The kind where $130 million is sitting on your shoulder pads, and every single person in your building is quietly wondering if they made a mistake. That's Deshaun Watson's reality right now.
Okay, so in this
portion of the richest deal in franchise history. Cleveland bet the future on him, and instead of Super Bowl runs, they got injuries, inconsistency, and a fan base that's run out of patience. So when the Browns dropped their new hype video this offseason, the one that's supposed to get everybody excited for the new season, fans noticed something immediately. Deshaun Watson wasn't in it. Not a clip, not a mention, nothing. And you know who was?
Staying ahead of everybody. Keep stepping on everybody next, man. That's the mentality we gotta have this year. You feel me? So we're good. We're in a good space. Work always come first. That's mandatory.
The Cleveland Browns released their media video today. And guess who wasn't in it? Deshaun Watson nor Jerry Jeudy. Let's look at the video that they released.
Shedeur Sanders, front and center, throwing a rope down the field in slow motion, looking like the guy this franchise is building around, not competing for a job, but already owning it. Now think about that for a second. Whether it was intentional or not, that's a message. And in the NFL, perception becomes reality faster than anybody wants to admit. Because here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. He didn't get drafted into a soft landing spot. He fell, publicly, painfully, all the way to the 5th round. Cameras caught his face on draft night. Cameras caught his family's face. The entire country watched a kid who was supposed to be a first-round lock get passed over, team after team after team. That kind of moment either breaks a guy or builds him. And from everything coming out of Cleveland right now, it built him. Because this offseason, Shedeur didn't disappear. He didn't sulk. He linked up with Jim Tressel, a national championship-winning head coach, and started putting in the kind of work that gets people talking. Dropping weight, sharpening his mechanics, tightening up his release. The tape doesn't lie, and neither does the eye test. He looks like a different player. And the people around him are noticing. Tyvis Powell, a name Browns fans know and trust, came out and said something that turned heads. He didn't just say Shedeur has talent. He said Shedeur fits exactly what Cleveland needs long-term. A quarterback who processes fast, protects a football, and doesn't turn a winnable game into a loss. That's not hype talk. That's a former player looking at the tape and telling you what he sees. So here's the question nobody in Cleveland wants to say out loud. What happens when the developmental rookie starts outplaying the guy making $35 million a year? That decision doesn't belong to fans. It doesn't belong to talk radio. It belongs to one man. New offensive coordinator Todd Monken. And Monken's history tells you a lot about what he values in a quarterback.
That's the clip of the Cleveland Browns media day releasing the video of the football team. That lets you know all along who they will have to be their starting quarterback. It's Shedeur Sanders. You saw my dog at the end throwing up that wrist. Can I get some wrists up in the comment section? Can I get some W2 in the comment section? Wrist it up. Shedeur Sanders, QB1. That's some bad.
He's coached explosive, do-it-all playmakers. He's also coached quiet, disciplined game managers who simply don't turn the ball over and let the operation run itself. Two very different quarterback philosophies. And right now, he's got to pick a lane with two starkly different players fighting for the job. Here's where the outside noise gets loud. Media members have spent months hammering Shedeur, questioning his arm strength, questioning his ceiling, questioning whether the hype was ever real or just built off a famous last name and a loud personality. Some analysts have flat out said he doesn't have what it takes to start in this league. And look, that criticism didn't come from nowhere. The pre-draft process was brutal on him. Teams passed, executives leaked concerns to reporters. It became a media circus before he ever took an NFL snap. But here's what's interesting. Every time the noise got louder, Shedeur got quieter and worked harder. There's something different about an athlete who's been counted out publicly, on national television, in real time. It changes how you carry yourself. It changes what you're willing to prove. And people close to the Browns organization say that's exactly what they're seeing behind closed doors. A guy who isn't rattled, isn't chasing validation, just quietly stacking days. That mentality matters more than people realize, because an NFL locker room can smell fear. They can smell entitlement too. What they respect is work. And from Jerry Jeudy to Harold Fannin Jr. to Quinshon Judkins, the playmakers in that receiving room, you're starting to hear the same thing repeated. Not that Shedeur is loud, not that he demands attention, that he's locked in. Now let's talk about the defense for a second, because this story isn't just about the quarterback room. It's about an entire organization at a crossroads. Cleveland traded away Myles Garrett, a generational pass rusher who single-handedly bailed out a shaky secondary for years. Quarterbacks around this league were relieved when that trade happened. That's how much of an impact he had.
That's a good thing. But Deshaun Watson putting that work in, and he want to be QB1 too. So the question is, which one of these quarterbacks will Todd Monken choose to operate his offense this year? When I look at the Cleveland Browns offensive side of the ball, you got a new head coach with Todd Monken. He will be calling the plays. What type of quarterback do he want?
Now the Browns are trusting a first-time defensive coordinator to figure out life without him. And that means more pressure lands right back on the offense, on whoever is playing quarterback to actually put points on the board, instead of leaning on a defense that used to bail everybody out. So which quarterback gives this team the best shot to survive that transition? That's not a rhetorical question. That's the exact debate happening inside the Browns front office right now. General Manager Andrew Berry built this roster with margin for error. He's already been floated as someone willing to be aggressive at the trade deadline if the defense needs reinforcements. But none of that matters if the offense can't hold up its end. And to be fair to Deshaun Watson, the man hasn't complained publicly. Not once. He's shown up every single day, put in the work, stayed professional through a media cycle that hasn't been kind to him. Say what you want about the results. Nobody around that building says he's not putting in the effort. But effort and outcome are two different conversations in this league, and Cleveland has run out of patience for one without the other. Here's the moment that actually shifted the narrative. It wasn't a press conference, it wasn't a stat line, it was that hype video, the one where Watson was invisible and Shedeur closed it out. Because whether the Browns admit it or not, that video told the fan base who they believe their quarterback of the future is. And fans reacted instantly. Timelines exploded, jersey sales spiked. Sports talk shows across the country spent entire segments dissecting 11 seconds of a hype reel like it was a state secret.
Game manager is viewed as a negative when it comes to the quarterback position. And I get that. But to me, it's one of the most important jobs a quarterback has. Get the offense into the right place. When you come to the line of scrimmage, identify the coverage and understand the coverage that the defense is in. Distribute the ball. Take the deep shots when it's there. Protect.
That's the power Shedeur Sanders carries right now. Not because of what he's done on an NFL field yet, because he hasn't taken a real regular season snap, but because of what people believe he's capable of. And that's the tension at the center of this whole story. On one side, you've got analysts saying he's overhyped, saying the 5th-round fall was the league's honest evaluation, saying game managers don't win in this era of football. On the other side, you've got teammates, coaches, and now former players like Tyvis Powell saying the tape doesn't match the noise, that this kid processes information like a veteran, protects the football, and does exactly what winning quarterbacks do. Somewhere between those two extremes is the truth, and Cleveland is about to find out which one it is, in real time, under the brightest lights in football. If you're locked into this story the way I am, go ahead and hit subscribe, because this quarterback battle is about to define an entire era of Cleveland football, and you don't want to miss where it goes next. So, where does this actually go from here? Training camp will tell the first real chapter of this story. Every rep gets charted, every read gets graded,
Every interception, every third down conversion, every 2-minute drill. It all builds a case one way or the other.
Because eventually, Todd Monken has to stand in front of cameras and say a name. And whatever name he says is going to define this franchise's next 5 years. If it's Watson, the Browns are betting on a proven arm finally healthy and finally comfortable in a new system, hoping the money and the physical tools finally translate into wins. If it's Sanders, they're betting on belief, on mentorship from legends like Jim Tressel, on a kid who turned public humiliation into fuel, on a locker room that's already starting to rally around him without anyone forcing them to. There's a version of this story where Shedeur Sanders becomes one of the greatest redemption arcs in recent NFL memory. A guy who fell out of the first round, got told he wasn't good enough by anyone with a microphone, and made an entire league regret it. And there's a version where the doubters were right all along. Nobody in Cleveland knows which version they're living yet. But one thing is already clear. This isn't a quarterback competition anymore. It's a referendum on belief itself, and the whole country is watching to see who wins.